can do some good. Please welcome Maria Clark.
I actually forgot to print it this time. So back in September, I introduced Luke, the pedophile, and eventually gets thrown into jail, as they probably should. So this is a sort of closure to his story over the past couple of months. It's called Visitation. You have a visitor. No, I don't. It's a girl. I definitely don't. Luke glanced over the small gap in his cell in solitary confinement. After multiple attempts on his life and hospitalizations, it was decided isolation was the best way to keep him safe. Even people in prison hated pedophiles. Understandable. She's waiting, let's go. He didn't want to go. He wanted to sit and look up at his dark and empty cell, but as the officer waited, he stood languidly, not like he had anything better to do. The cuffs closed around his wrists and ankles, and the chains jingled as he was escorted to the visiting area. He'd never been there. In the 10 years he'd been in prison, he never once had a visitor. It was odd, and everyone looked at him, wondering who would come to visit him after so long. She sat at the table that was more of a short wall with bars between them. He was cuffed to the chair and looked at the young and inquisitive face. He didn't recognize her, and she clearly was trying to place him. "I think you have the wrong guy," he said to her. She shook her head. "Luke, you've been here about 10 years. Do you remember me?" He couldn't say he did. "No, but if I met you, it couldn't have been good. I'm sorry for whatever I did to you. You can do whatever you need, and I'll just leave." She shook her head. "You really don't know." "Do you know?" he challenged. "Do you know what I'm in here for?" She didn't even flinch. "Pedophilia and manslaughter." Luke nodded. "Yeah, so where do you fit in?" He was awkward after being locked away alone and didn't know how he should or should not act. Her eyes were warm and gentle, and he felt angry. He must have hurt her, but she was still so kind. The girl took a breath. "I'm Abby. You saved me from my father." And it all hit him like a ton of bricks. Abby that he stalked. Abby that was raped by her father. Abby that he held in his arms before he was taken away. Luke was speechless. "Thank you for saving me that day," she continued warmly. But he didn't deserve it. He'd wanted her for himself. He wasn't going to save her, and it angered him. "I was stalking—" "I know," she said with a gentle smile, as if being told you were a potential victim was completely normal. But then being raped by your own father was also not completely normal. "I know you hurt others, and I feel sad for them, but you didn't hurt me, and you could have, but you didn't. I was planning to." She didn't need to know, but he said it anyways. She reached through the bars and took his cold hands. "Still, thank you." Luke slowly closed his hand around hers, touching her baby pink painted nails. She turned out great. She looked great, and he felt misplaced pride in seeing the beautiful woman that she had become, as if he had anything to do with it, but he couldn't help it. "I'm not a good person," was all he could say. The words choked out, and he felt something in him give, as if they had been lodged within him for these past 10 years and were only now finally released. Like a pressure that he was unaware was about to explode. He wondered if this is what closure felt like. A little more bitter abandonment than willful resignation, but acceptance nonetheless. Abby nodded and smiled tearily. "I know, but that's okay."